Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it's just gone 3 o'clock in the afternoon here in London, and my guest today is Hans Wilhelm, and he is going to talk about the universal laws that connect us, which help to strengthen us, and which we can live by to overcome the difficulties in our life. He's an author. He does personal one-to-ones, but he's going to talk more about that to himself. But we're going to start with Hans speaking about how he came about to be the way he is today, what happened in the past, of course, so that probably a lot of us can connect with that. So without much ado, Hans, you're in New York and there's 5 hours difference, so welcome.
Thank you, Sandy. I'm delighted, excuse me, that you invited me. And wow, let me just, this is
So would you like
unusual.
to speak to us on how you came to...
Yes, okay. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here. And yes, well, I didn't start off with a trauma or something like this. When I was a young kid, teenager or so on, I couldn't believe what the churches were telling us. I couldn't believe in the loving God and seeing all the misery and the illnesses, rich, poor, poor guys, and what all the different kind of extremes in this world. And it says, where is God if it is sort of everybody is hurting each other here? And it didn't really make sense to me. It was only later, sort of when I was 19, when I suddenly came across the teachings of Edgar Cayce. And suddenly I heard the word reincarnation, I think for the first time, and really thought about it and says, wow, now suddenly everything makes sense. Now I understand why some people are rich, some are poor, some are sick, some are at war, some are making war. And suddenly everything became very much clearer to me. So I studied Edgar Cayce for many years, and then many other years I moved to Africa and studied many different paths, Rudolf Steiner, Course in Miracles, and Conversations with God, and many others. But it was some kind of 40 years ago when I came into contact with a teaching given by a German woman. Her name was Gabriele, and all her books, which are now hundreds of different books over the last 50 years, she channeled the divine world to us and gave us all these teachings, are in the Sophia Library in Germany. It is an immense amount of material in greatest details, given where we come from, why we are here, where we are going. And the beauty of this material are two things, that's why I love it so much. First of all, it's in today's language. Anybody who tried to read Edgar Cayce, Rudolf Steiner, they will know that you have to read a sentence 3 times before you really understand it. And today, language, it's very clear, it's beautiful. And the other thing is, there is no organization to join. There is no priests. There are no teachers. It is the material, and the material is the path within yourself. So basically, it is between you and divinity. You call it God, Christ. And so there's no one in between. And I really like that a lot. So I studied it years, but I never thought of coming out with this and telling everybody around it, because I'm a writer and illustrator for children's books, and I've done over 200 books, which are published in many, many languages. And but I wasn't going to do much spirituality. But it was when my father was dying, and we children were around him for the last few days. And my father was a soldier in the Second World War, and he had seen a lot of death. And he was convinced that after death, there is no more existence, there is no more consciousness, it's over. And he was quite happy and quite comfortable with it. So he knew he was dying, and he knew that he would no longer exist. So I came to him, and one day when I was sort of being with him for a while, and he says, look, Dad, just in case you may be surprised that you are still alive after you left the physical body, these are the, let's say, 10 things which you may encounter. So don't be surprised if this and this and this happens. And I gave him sort of what I had learned over the years, and he smiled, and then he said, yeah, that's your belief. I leave it like that. A few days later, he died. I totally forgot about it. And it was 5 years later, when I was in a bookstore, when a stranger came to me, introduced himself as a medium. And he says, I saw you coming into the store. At that moment, your father came to me, and he said to me, go to that man and thank him for what he told me, because everything he told me was true. And it helped me so much on the other side. And now I'm working on the receiving end of people who are dying, and I see the utter confusion of people. They have no idea what happens or what should happen, and some of them are not even aware that they are dead. Would I please write books about what I know and share it with others? So I gave that some thought, and then there was some other personal messages. So I knew it was definitely my father, but totally
Lovely.
yeah. And then I
Wonderful.
and then I decided I won't write a book. I make short videos because I wanted to reach young people. I was young and searching when I was struggling with the religion. So I made short videos, 5 minutes, 10 minutes videos. And in these videos, I visually show how these things, I draw it. It says how karma works. Somebody hurt somebody. It gets stored in the Akashic records and the planets
Yes.
come back and so on, and etc. That's how karma works. And when you see that visually, for me, it makes so much more sense. So over the past 13 years, I have done about 170 of these very short videos, and they are all available for free on my website. You can find it, or you go to YouTube and punch in my name, Hans Wilhelm. There you get immediately to that channel, or you go to my website, which is called lifeexplained.com, where also the same videos. But the YouTube channel is a very popular one. It has seen by over 20 million people. And it is really touching a lot of people. And there is no commercial. There's nothing to join. They're utterly free. I made it a very point. This is sort of a service of love. It cost me a lot of money to get all these things set up. But I love it. So that's in a nutshell. Maybe I talk far too much. You may have some questions.
No, wonderful. Go on, because I know what it's like when you're making these short videos and you want to give it out to people, because people, like you say, they not sure, they're confused. And this is absolutely wonderful, because it is about making humankind aware that death is not the end. Life is eternal. And what we do when we're in the seen existence, because when we cross over, we're unseen. And that's the energy side, and that's the eternal side. And when we come into the physical body, what we do has a great bearing on our lives, because we've come here to learn. So please, Hans, continue. So with your videos, and what are they explaining to people? But more so, apart from that one time when that woman spoke to you, has your father ever spoken to you or connected with you again?
Never again. No, not that I'm aware of. He may have been around and have guided me here and there, as sometimes ancestors do, but I'm
Yes.
not. That was a one-time thing, and I was totally floored, and I've never had it before. I'm also not looking for it. I don't intend to contact anybody on the other side. For various, I respect their privacy. I respect that they have to go their own path,
Yes.
and this constant thinking about them, praying for them. It's not praying is okay, but holding on to them just holds people on the path. So I accept it, and I'm very grateful for his guidance and what he said. But I am letting the dead have their own life. I have to do my own life here. And if they want to help me, like in this instance, great. But that's how far I go with communicating with the departed ones. Because very often, you see, my father didn't teach me anything. He only thanked me and entrusted me. So very often we think when we speak with departed people that they are much smarter and wiser. They aren't. If they were stupid here on earth, they're stupid on the other side too. So if I'm thinking that they are only because they are dead, they know more, that happens very rarely. I would say most people die as they are now here on earth. When we pass over, most of our characteristics we still carry with us on the other side. If we were very egoistic, self-centered, we are on the other side too. And it may take some time to purify ourselves on the other side, but people do not change through the through the process of death. That's something I think I have to remember.
Okay, thank you for saying that. So you became aware when you were a young man because you were confused and asking questions. And I like when you said reading Edward Casey and the reincarnation. You mentioned a German lady and she and her writings are in a German library, the Sophia Library in Germany. What was that lady's name again, please?
Gabriele. It's like Gabriel with an E on the end, just like Gabriel and E. You won't find much on the internet. She was a very shy woman, but she was she never called herself a prophetess, but the divinity called her. So God spoke to her at various very high spiritual entities, spoke through her and gave a very intense and direct teaching. And that is the basis of most of my videos. And what I found out through this teaching is that God is ingenious simplicity. It is not as complicated as our churches want to tell us, etc. Yes. Everything is very clear, and God doesn't have secrets from us. I mean, it's when I see how everything fits together, I'm always at awe when I hear about it and I look at the law of karma, the law of cause and effect, the law of projection. There are all these spiritual laws which we live by and know by, which the churches have never really told us. Yes, there's sowing and the law of sowing and reaping, but the fact that this is a karmic law and this affects us of so many lifetimes and that affects whatever happens to us, it's hardly really mentioned. People are not really aware of it, that whatever we encounter, negative or positive, we have sown at one time in our life, that we are the generator of these situations. And so they have never really explained it in great detail. So the spiritual path explains it in very great detail of how all these things connect and how it affects our life, why we are here, where we are coming from, and where we are going.
Lovely, yes, because it is the spiritual path that I keep on mentioning, because it's been going on from centuries of time. And you're absolutely right. The church doesn't tell you these things. I sometimes feel it's almost as though they want to keep us at a level that we're forever beholding and they're ever guiding and ruling us, when actually there is information out there for us to take on board, because we are sovereign beings individually, and we should be given that information so that we can live the life we're meant to live. And we're not supposed to hang on to anybody or anything. It's that they're like yourself and myself, or so many of us, they're there to bring that information, pass it to us, help guide us for one thing and one thing alone, for us to connect to source, for which we have never been. Actually, we become disconnected and yet we're still connected, but to remember. And so that we can find that information on a daily basis, connect to it, and be the sovereign beings we're meant to be.
Absolutely right. And the reason why the organized religions don't tell us about it, because everything is in the Sermon on the Mount. Everything what we should do is in the Sermon on the Mount, the Ten Commandments and the Golden Rule. But if the churches would emphasize the Sermon on the Mount, that would also mean they had to live by it. But you look at the Catholic Church and so on, and the priests, etc., it's all contrary to what the Sermon on the Mount stands for. Love your neighbor and your enemy, etc. The churches don't live by it, and that's why they are really ignoring these important teachings to a large degree, because they themselves are not trying to live by it. They're actually living on the opposite.
Yeah, because when we look back in history, I think they said the wars that have killed more people are not spiritual wars, religious wars.
Yes.
Religious war. And if you are living by the word of the Creator and understand that we are all connected, why do we have religious wars? Because we're killing ourselves. It's contrary to what we should be doing, and it's contrary to what those are in the church in history have been going and saying. You're very right.
Right up
so
today.
Tell us more about your work and
my work and in with the videos in regard with my videos.
Yes.
Oops, I guess we little. Yes. Yeah. So whatever I do, when I read these books, there are most of them behind me. You can see they are. Whenever I have a new chapter, a new book, and have got a new idea, and I like to understand it myself, then I draw it out. And
Okay,
this process
we're
of drawing
having
it
a bit
out, I film, I record on a video. So I
difficulty with the
some transition. It's
right. Sorry, you cut out there. There was a disconnection with the internet. Can you just repeat that again, please?
yeah. So when I study the material which Gabriele gave us, which is also in all these books behind me, and I see a new chapter, a new idea, a new law, then I draw it out and record it on a video, because when I draw it out, it's very clear to me. And that is basically what I share in my videos. And anybody who goes for them will understand how easily these things are to understand. How when we see how all the makes totally sense.
Yes. What I like about what you're saying is that when Gabrielle was doing these, when she was connecting and getting this information, it is very straightforward and clear and not complicated. For some reason, through time, things have been made complicated for us, and it should not be so. And so it is music to my ears when you said it's very straightforward, you know, when she's getting these downloads, spiritual downloads, and she's getting the connection, what is being said is so straightforward for us to understand and to follow.
Absolutely right. And this is where the churches are they make it on purpose complicated. And the idea that you have to go to a seminar to become a priest, you have to study God. You cannot study God. You can experience God, but you cannot study God. And I cannot prove to you that there is a God, neither can you prove it to me. We have to explore that and find it in ourselves. And all the teachings in the church seminars are basically all nonsense, all made up by human beings. But God is in us. The kingdom of God is in us. This is something also we have to really grasp, that everything is in us. And the outer world is a little mirage, basically, to help us to get through life. But the kingdom of God and Christ are in us. Therefore, we are never without God and never without Christ. We are always with everything. But we are not, we just get it all the time. We need to remember it. That's, I think, is the important point.
Yes, very much so. And this is what, when I say we became disconnected and to reconnect, because everything is in us. We are one with it, but somehow we became disconnected. And by becoming disconnected, we have forgotten. And therefore we tend to be like mice. And then these other, these other agencies come along and then control us and keep us like mice. But what we are really supposed to do is connect for ourselves, listen to those advices like Gabriella and so many others have come to tell us, so that we can sit in our own space, think about it, meditate on it, connect with it, awaken it, and feel it from within.
Yeah, and then the guidance we will also be open to, and then we slowly over time, the guidance, we will wake up to the own inner guidance. We don't need any outside teachings anymore, because the more we open ourselves up, the more the divinity will open up in us and guide us personally as well. And we become aware that all the instances we are having during the day are only sort of divinely inspired, and they are for us to help us. Every situation we encounter, even the negative one, is here to help us forward, to help us to purify ourselves, to clear it up. And most of all, the big things which happen in our life, the traumatic events, we all knew this prior we incarnated, because we are shown a life plan, a rough outline of who we will be in this life and what we will encounter. And that, so all the difficult situations, and we have agreed to that. Everybody is here, has totally agreed to be here. Nobody is here against their own will. So we understand that these situations are all challenges which are there for us to set us free, so that no longer it has hold on us when we pass through this challenge, through this task, with love, with forgiveness, and giving and asking for forgiveness. Basically, that's in a nutshell.
Oh, Hans, your music to my ears. This is what I've been saying. And this is what I say to other people. When we agree to come to this earth plane, it's for a reason. And we have already decided what we're coming for, what we're coming to learn, what we're coming to experience so that we grow spiritually. And then as we come, we go through a veil of amnesia where it's all wiped away so that we can concentrate on our task here on earth and to find that divinity within us. And I do say to people in this age, 2020, 25, and the life we're living now is magical in the sense it is a time for us to be our sovereign self. It is time for us that we I can't say we don't need others because we need to have those writings and those guidance, but it is there to make us put them within us, work with them, connect with them, and be our sovereign self.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. That is basically to make, and I think the idea is people always says if there are past lives and so on, why wouldn't I remember and things like this? And you touched on it. We are going through the phase of amnesia. We are forgetting this. And I have a video on this. Is why do we not remember our past lives? And it's a blessing that we don't, and that because we have done a lot of awful stuff in the past. And if I suddenly remember that I've been a murderer, a torturer, and whatever it is, I probably will be so depressed I couldn't function. And the other thing is also that every situation must be a way that I decided, not because I remember I once was a bad guy, because I remember I must do it out of love. For instance, I had a negative relationship with my brother in the past life. And now this time I says, all right, I will be a good person with him because of my past life. That comes from my intellect. But it is better if I now approach my brother and with it, and I come from love. Oops.
I'm here, don't worry. I'm here.
Is the sound gone? Oh, I'm sorry, the sound is troubling. I must get a better connection, but yeah. I think I'm directly connected to the internet. I don't know, I can't do it much better, but it happens.
Sometimes it's the atmosphere, don't worry. Yes, but you were saying about sometimes it's good that we do not remember about our past lives so that we can act fresh and in our new self.
Yeah, and from love, not from intellect and memory, but from love. We have to develop the heart muscle. And that's the key. And that's why when we have difficult situation, to do it from love. And that's where we all struggle. I still struggle. And yes, that is our big challenge, to do everything as love. Love is the only way forward.
Yes, because the Creator created us in unconditional love. And therefore, as you said, we have to exercise that heart muscle and have that love so that we grow and realize that we are all connected, and as such everything should be done with compassion and love and wisdom.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Unfortunately, our life sometimes is very turbulent, and the snowball of many people gets shaken a lot. So they are maybe very confused, traumatic, and so on. And when we are in these negative situations, it's not always easy to remember, hey, stand back from the problem and look. And so that is, I think, the big challenge here, always to get ourselves back up again, stand up again and face it again, and remember of who we are and why we are here.
Yes. Yes, and the remembrance is not a remembrance about past lives, but remembering that we are all connected and we are all here doing the best we can. And through karma and different things that create, or not create us, but create our circumstances that we're in. And that's wisdom, understanding that wisdom so that we will have that compassion towards others of what the journey they're going through.
Yeah, we are all guiding each other home. That's what we are basically doing. We are guiding
Yes.
each other home. We're helping each other to go home. If we do it right way, we can also create more karma. We can create more mess. If we are angry, upset, kill somebody, curse somebody, judge somebody, etc., we are not helping ourselves and neither the other person. So the answer, love thy neighbor, that's why it is so simple. What Christ gave us, it's not easy, but it's so simple in the Sermon on the Mount. Love thy neighbor, love thy enemy, forgive 70 times 70. These are the key elements of it, which are not easy to do when our self-righteousness comes in. How dare they do that to me? But in the end, that's what we have to do.
So true.
Yeah.
You know, I like when you said it's so easy, but it is difficult.
Yeah, our ego
It's
doesn't like it.
easy, it's
Yeah.
difficult. It's so straightforward, but it's difficult. And the Sermon on the Mount, and it is, you know, forgive, forgive, forgive. And sometimes zip up that lip and say nothing and take that pain. And this is where that exercising the heart muscle, exercising the wisdom muscle, exercising the compassion muscle, that's where it's coming in. And through that, we do it for ourselves to grow. And in so doing, we're helping others, but more for ourselves. So when we do that, we're sending that ripple effect out, and it affects others too.
Yes. And also the other key is to ask for forgiveness. I mean, that's the key element itself, to set ourselves free when we realize that we have made a mess somewhere along the line. Our ego doesn't easily want us to go and ask for forgiveness because they have got many excuses we often make. But to really solve that relationship and make it no longer as a binding, we have to ask for forgiveness. Hopefully it is then given from the other person. But asking for forgiveness is the key as well. And we can do that also to divinity. If we feel we have failed in the eyes of divinity, God, Christ, also ask him for forgiveness. And the only way to really fundamentalize it is by no longer doing the negative thing in the future. That I think is an important thing to really cleanse ourselves. This is our purpose here in life for most of us, is to purify ourselves in the fastest way. And Gabriele explains here on planet Earth, that's why planet Earth is so special, because in the purification sphere where our souls is between lifetimes, we are all connected with other souls, surrounded by other souls of like vibration. Like attracts like. And the growth in an environment where everybody thinks like you, speaks like you, is very slow. But here on planet Earth, on planet Earth is one of the unique places where souls from all different vibration and consciousness levels can incarnate at the same time. So you have a saint living next door to a sinner on the other side, and you're in between. So suddenly we can understand, get a much wider view of life. And also we are now encountering souls we may have interacted with in previous lifetimes. Maybe we have created karma, which are on a very different consciousness level in the spiritual world. And they are coming together as well in this lifetime. And we meet again. And as we meet, we have the opportunity to undo our karma. So this is in a very unique way of only 24,000 days as an average is our visit. It's very short. It's just like going to the movies, basically, and you're having an experience and you're going out. It's a very short life. And but we have got all these opportunities to interact with souls with whom we would have no chance to speak together in the spiritual realm according to our own personal level of consciousness. So very unique place. And that's why we have to be so grateful for this opportunity, because billions of souls would like to come to planet Earth, incarnate, experience the intensity of karma here, which we can undo so quickly with forgiveness and undoing things, which is very difficult and much slower in the spiritual realm. But unfortunately, there are not enough babies to incarnate for. So that's why we have this incredible increase on population from 1.5 billion people at the turn of the last century, 1900, and now it's 8 billion, sort of. Everybody wants to be, as the Earth is going through this tremendous transition, and this will be very difficult years, which means a lot of negative experiences, a negative changes will take place, and these are all there for us to undo our karma, to experience these things, these events, and cleanse our karma thereby. So the spiritual souls on the other side know this. They know that this is a very intense and very special time here on planet Earth. They would like to be part of it.
Come on.
So, but most of the people here on Earth are not aware of it. And I think it helps us to be grateful for that too.
It is, again, as you said, so whatever we're doing, it's not coming from a brain, it must come from that muscle of the heart, of feeling, of doing. And it's so important. And thank you very much for explaining that from the last 1900s, where it was 1 billion, now we've increased to 8 billion. And it has been said by many different light workers that there are many beings from other planets or other realms that are looking on Earth, because it is a very important time of our development, of our evolving. And those of us here on Earth at this time, we're gifted. It's a very special time. We should be very grateful, actually. And many want to come. It can be difficult, but if we awaken to who we are and we're listening and we flex those muscles, it is a way of us helping one another and growing spiritually and doing what we're supposed to be doing. It's a very exciting time.
I fully agree, and I think you brought up a very interesting point. When you meet other spiritual people who are trying to help here, remind each other of that one. I think it's important, like we do this now in our conversation, to remind each other, hey, it is tough, but hey, that's why you came here. So I'm here as well. We all struggle through this, but together we can make it.
Yes, we can. And the thing is, as I want to emphasize for those listening, is that when we're coming to each other, we know what we're coming for. It's not we've come here blindly and it's pick and the peck. No, we actually know why. We're privileged to be here. So let us awaken and do what we need to do so that we can help one another and we can help ourselves, and as many as we can help, because as above, as they say, so below. So we want to make the earth that better place for all of us to experience and exercise our heavenly power, our divine power in a good way, to make this planet a beautiful place to live in.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with you. Yeah, and the roadmap was given to us, as I said, in the 10 Commandments and in the Sermon on the Mount. That says it very clearly: live by these things, and you will be in paradise here on earth.
Yes. Because we can have a beautiful earth. Everything in this earth is there for us. Every element, every physical side. We have the hot, we cold, we can go where we want. And we have the power to even control some of that. If we understand our power and we come collectively, we can really make this heaven, really heaven, and help one another. Why not?
Yes, right. Yeah, that's it. And that's why it's good to, like you do with your program, you speak to other people who intuitively know it, but maybe get more encouragement to do that and to move through the day with more encouragement, because we are not alone. There are millions of them. Are having a big problems here because they are very evolved beings, and then when they see and come here planet Earth and see how horrible we treat each other, they can be very depressed and see how what people do to each other. And we need to remind us that this is only part of this whole thing, and we are here for a bigger picture than the present negative situation that we see in the news media at the moment every day. The picture we are striving for is much bigger, much more brighter, much more beautiful.
Yes, And it is down to us in our own sovereign self to wake up to this fact, to do what we need to do, to share with one another so that we can create that world that we really want to live in and change things that it is possible for us to change. We just need to believe wake up and use our sovereign power in the right way so that we can create that life.
And we are not alone,
So,
Jensi. Let me the one thing, we are never alone. We've got
no,
all the spiritual
because
help. That is the key. We have got all that spiritual help. They want to help us, want to work us. And if we rely on them and ask them for help, that's where the energy comes through us to do what needs to be done. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. You're absolutely correct. Again, not just our sovereignty, but we have help outside of Earth, because Earth is just the playing field. Earth is just the place where we can see, which is the scene where we bring all these about. But from the spiritual realm, there are so many there standing. And I say to those who I'm working with, ask them a million times a day, they don't care. They're so happy that you're asking, that you want to be aware, that you want to do. And we're all different. And I say to people, when I'm learning something, I'm a hands-on person. I like to do, I can read, but I want to do. And I will ask. And I will make those mistakes and I will learn from those mistakes. And I can understand how to correct them and do them. So when people are with me, I say, ask as many times as you like, because that's how I work. I'm hands-on. And it is the same in the spiritual world. Ask them, doesn't matter how many times a day. Ask, because it means you want to know, you want to learn, you're interested, and there's that determination within us to change.
Very true, Jensi. And I think we have to remember, and Christ spoke, and Sugavi, it says, or remind us, the highest form of love is service. So when we have got the divine guidance on our side, they are eager to serve, because that's how they are expressing the highest form of love towards us, by being of service to us or to God through us. I think that is a very nice thing to remember.
Absolutely, because in the end, what do? We ask for that divine help. We must listen, because sometimes what they're telling us is not what we like to hear, but we must acknowledge it, do it. Hans, I'm sure you've been in that position. There's times you want something and what they're telling or what you're getting is not what you want to hear, but you know it's the right thing to do and you have to take that action, and it works out. And that's part of our change. That's part of our letting go of our ego, of remembering that we don't know it all. And so we're asking for that help so that we can be that better being, that better person, that better spirit, and grow. So it's about asking and listening and having the courage. Is it courage, or having the knowledge to understand whatever they're telling us, it's the right thing to do, and have the strength to do it?
Absolutely right. But not everybody gets a clear message. This is where I think we have to point it out. People who don't get a clear message of you have to go to the left path instead of the right path. Sometimes it helps to find within which of the two paths would give me the greatest inner peace. And maybe we can feel the answer through the inner peace, instead of having a clear direction from some spirit being who tells us go to the left or go to the right. I think the answer in everything is the inner stillness, the peace. Which one of the two things or three things or five things I should do in career, which one gives me that peace, that inner strength? So sometimes we can feel the answer instead of looking forward to listen to it or hear something, which not many people do or can. So the answer is there. The answer to all of it is peace. The answer is always love, is quietness, calmness. And if it's excitement, it's very often coming from our ego. But that's just only my experience.
You're absolutely right, because sometimes it's not about hearing, it's about feeling, it's about sensing it. And I get that.
Yeah,
Sometimes you hear it, sometimes you just feel it, and you can
yeah,
feel that energy that's not right, or something is making
right.
you think again. Something is
Yeah,
making you step back, because you can feel something's not right. It's not right. And then you sometimes you have to really push and say, what is it? What is it? What is it that I need to see? What is it I need to understand? What is it that I'm missing? And you push and push until you get the answer. And it's a feeling. Sometimes it's that voice from within and yet without, until you hear and you know, okay, that's the answer. And as I said,
yeah.
sometimes the answer is, uh-oh, I gotta do that. Okay. But you know that is the right thing to do.
We know intuitively. Yeah, I agree. That so we get a lot of guidance in different ways. Sometimes see a bumper sticker and whatever it is. We just sometimes get the signs there. They are here to help us in whatever way we are open to receive.
Wonderful. Hans, um, now you've written some books. So can you tell us the books you've written, and have you got courses? Is there a way that people can connect with you to get more information, or work with you to get more ideas, and or how you know they can connect with you to get guidance? Please let us know.
Thank you for asking. Yeah, I don't. I do make a lot of children's books. I'm a children's book writer, and I do not make the videos about my books, my children's books. I do speak about the various books which are published by Gabriele and other authors, who are sort of in a way of spiritual matter. I am not a counselor. I am not a therapist,
Yeah.
and do not do personal encounters where you can book time with me. However, people are welcome to write to me on email. And if they have a specific question, I may be able to guide them to a source which can give you more profound answers than myself. So that you find on the contact page of my website, lifeexplained.com. You go to the contact page, and there you can write to me, and I try to answer it always in a few days' time. But most questions you may have, or one may have, are answered somehow by the many videos. So go onto the YouTube channel of Hans Wilhelm and look for the videos, and they're also grouped by different things: spiritual path, reincarnation, forgiveness, etc. And the answers are there, because when you see it visually, as I mentioned earlier, it becomes very clear. So this is basically my contribution here, that I just show the videos, and I like to guide people to the work which is so profound, so deep, that I'm just basically a sign shower, a road shower, but nothing really that I sense. I'm not a teacher. This is, I want to make clear, I am not a teacher. I merely show you my understanding. If it works for you, that's fine. And I have zero interest to convince anybody that what I believe in is right for you. Everybody has got a different level of consciousness, and the material which I have may not be right for everybody at this time. But for those who connect with it and feel this makes a lot of sense, they would be eager to explore it further. And there are some wonderful books and CDs and other things which they can explore and find out everything. And particularly if they've got any specific question, there are answers also available everywhere. So that's
Thank
basically
you. Thank you very much for that. So what I want to say, and I will repeat it as Hans has said, and it's Hans Wilhelm, Wilhelm. As he said, you can go on the YouTube, Hans, Hans. If you go onto YouTube, put his name in, and you'll get his videos up. And it will also, I suppose, see that he's a writer and author of children's books, which I'm getting into as well. You can connect with him on www.lifeexplained.com, all one word, www.lifeexplained.com. Okay, so Hans, Thank you so much. I have thoroughly enjoyed today. You've music to my ears, because it's exactly how I feel and explain. And I'm sure all those that are going to listen to this video, and I do apologize that sometimes the video has cut out, but just bear with us and continue. And there's a lot of gold nuggets here for you to hear. So once again, Hans in New York, thank you very much for joining us today, and have a wonderful day and a wonderful Easter. And to everybody, bye for now.
Thank you.